So today I'm going to be talking about my favourite time of year and my favourite festival, and that is the festival of Ostara. So what is Ostara? So Ostara is the spring festival in celebration of the goddess of spring, the Germanic goddess Ostara. Now the spring goddess was known as Ostara to the Germans, but when the Saxons came to Britain, they knew her as Eostra. For this video, we'll just call her Ostara, because that's how most people know the goddess, the spring goddess, and the festival of Ostara. The question is, was she really a goddess, or a historical goddess that was venerated by people, or was she just a mythological figure that was made up in latter years? Well, linguists have traced the name Ostara as well as Eostra back to its roots, its Proto-Indo-European roots, and it seems that they found that the name is cognate with the Proto-Indo-European goddess of the dawn, Ausōs. Not only that, but there were similar spring goddesses with similar names, venerated by the Greeks and other Eastern European and Baltic tribes, and guess what? We're all related. The Celts, the Germanic tribes, the Baltic tribes, the Greeks, we all are descendants of the Proto-Indo-Europeans. So I think it's fair to say there's enough evidence for us to say that there was indeed a spring goddess venerated by those peoples that were descendant from the Proto-Indo-Europeans. Now there's a few myths associated with the spring goddess. One of those myths tells the story of how the spring goddess was held captive and prisoner by a huge dragon who kept her prisoner through the winter months. And it wasn't until one of the gods came down and released her from her bondage that she was free again to shine her light on the world. And then there's a couple of little stories that tell us how the egg and the hare came into all of this and became symbols of the goddess Ostara. The first one tells us of an injured bird that Ostara found, and the only way she could cure the bird was to transform the bird into a hare. The problem was, the hare still laid eggs. And every year, in honour of the goddess, every springtime during the festival of Ostara, he lays brightly coloured eggs to honour the goddess. then there's another quaint little story which I did a video on, well, just last week actually, and I'll put a link to it up here. And that's a little fairy tale story that tells how the goddess came to visit the animals during the springtime, and the little hare who had nothing but a little tiny egg, it's the only thing he had, and he decorated that egg and put his heart and soul into decorating that egg, that the spring goddess was so touched by how much effort the little hare had gone to decorate that egg for her, that she made him her special animal for the festival of Ostara. So it's a beautiful little fairy story, and if you're interested in looking at it, like I say, the link will be up there. Go and watch it, because I put my heart and soul into making that bloody video, and I want my spring goddess to be happy with my video. Yeah, that's enough of that. Okay, so when exactly is Ostara? When does it begin? We know Ostara is a celebration of spring and the goddess of the spring. But what day has been given as the official day of Ostara? The official day for the Sabbath is the 21st of March, and that is the time of the spring equinox. Around about, it's approximate. The spring equinox doesn't occur at the same time every year. So the 21st of March is the day that's been assigned to Ostara. And the equinox, of course, is the time when day and night are equal. Now the spring equinox was also known as Alban Ela by the Brythonic Celts, and mythologically this is the time when the Oak King takes or starts to take power over the Holly King. He starts to win his battle over the Holly King. So the Oak King represents the light, and the Holly King represents the darker half of the year. So now that we know what Ostara is, and when we celebrate Ostara, let's talk about how we celebrate Ostara. Ostara is one of the minor Sabbaths on the pagan wheel of the year. And so we can see it's associated with the spring equinox. The spring equinox occurs somewhere between the 19th and the 22nd of March. And just because it's called a lesser Sabbath doesn't make it lesser in any real way at all. It's just called a lesser Sabbath to distinguish it from the great fire festivals. And so we have 4 lesser Sabbaths, and they are solar Sabbaths, whereas the great fire festivals are in celebration of the agricultural cycle. So as you can see from the diagram, dates are approximately around the 21st. And these are the astronomical Sabbaths, known on the wheel of the year as lesser Sabbaths. So then, does it just mean that the only time you can celebrate Ostara is the 21st of March? Or as we said here, somewhere between the 19th and 22nd of March. And the answer to that is a big resounding no. You can celebrate the spring goddess right throughout the season of spring. So you can celebrate her right up until Beltane, where the May Queen takes precedence. So how then can we actually honour and celebrate the spring goddess in our own homes? So a lot of people set up an altar to the spring goddess, and they include on their altar those things that are reminiscent of the spring. Others may just choose to decorate the house with fresh flowers and statuettes of the goddess and the moon-gazing hare and eggs and Easter bunnies and sprigs of willow and catkins too. In short, just decorate the house with anything and everything that reminds you and brings the joy of the springtime into your heart. And the colours, well, all shades of green and all shades of the colours of the blossoms, white, yellow, pink, and the shades of the bluebells too. As for incense, well, with all those fresh flowers that you've got scattered around the house, I don't think there's much need for any incense. But if you insist on incense, then I would say jasmine would be a good choice, or any bright spring smelling anything that really brings that feeling of spring would be a good choice. So I hope you're getting the picture now. The only thing you really have to do if you want to celebrate and honour the goddess Ostara is to bring her into your heart and into your home. So I hope now that you're all going to be off out and walking in the woods and looking for little gifts from the goddess to bring back into your home so you can celebrate the spring goddess Ostara.